Welcome, everybody, to Den Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. With you, as always, me, Ricky. I always forget how I introduce the show. I'm Ricky.
It's how
I'm
you
the host.
introduce it.
With me, as always, is Dennis. I think that's how I properly do it. We're coming at you the week of January 19th. Show notes, we are recording this on the 18th. But those of you listening are hearing this no sooner than the 19th on Friday.
Yeah, that way we're just covering our butts in case like crazy Marvel news happens.
Yeah. If the Deadpool 3 trailer comes out in a couple hours.
Here's our reaction. Oh, it was so good.
Whoa.
Oh man, Hugh Jackman was in it.
Yeah. Well,
all right, there we
go. We'll speculate on those cameos later, but we got a cameo for this one, for this show.
That was one of your better ones.
Welcome back, Clark.
that was one of your better ones. I think if you just, we're on episode 120. We just keep it going. You're going to get really good at these.
I would say that's a number 120.
Yeah.
God,
Well,
congratulations.
Clark. It's a lot.
That Deadpool
right?
trailer was amazing.
Yeah.
But I gotta say though, I have a friend who's letting me know he was going to be a guest for the first time on a podcast. It's not a nerdy podcast, so like I'm not gonna plug it. I'm not gonna plug it or anything like that. And he was like super nervous about speaking like on that kind of platform and like speaking. Like he's always afraid of how his words get jumbled and stuff like that. And I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, man, remember when we were nervous about this?
Yeah.
But now we've done 120 and no one listens to us. So it's great.
And that's why you do 120.
I'm kidding.
You get better.
I'm kidding. We do have listeners. We have loyal
listeners.
We have
a few.
We do.
I mean,
yeah, we do.
I'll say this. We're not in it for the money. Let's just, I think we've proven that at that point.
And that should count for something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We do it for the love of the game.
Yeah. But it's a lot easier and you take it for granted. So as much as I give you crap about your segues, I'm very confident and happy with your performance nowadays versus, when we started this 3 years ago and I was constantly yelling at you for every dumb thing you were doing. I yell at you a lot less. I yell at you a lot less. You do.
Yeah. The gummies that probably help.
That's a bonding thing is what it is. It's a strong bond.
Well, let's we haven't introduced what we're talking about. We're talking about Mars Attacks this week. The 1996 Tim Burton classic. This was my pick.
Classic with quotes around it.
Yeah, I think this was my first movie pick, right? That we get to do, and this is what I came out with.
Yeah, because we weren't going to do your other one, right? Which is what was the other one that you were picking? You have two movies, and what was the other one? I'm sorry,
I can't even remember now.
What's your other favorite movie?
I like Tron, but I don't think I talked about Tron on this show.
No, not Tron. Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
Signs?
No, it wasn't Signs. It's okay. It's go back and watch the previous episode, and we can figure it out. But in any case, I think the cool thing about you getting to pick it is you get to explain why you picked it, and I'm curious to know why you picked Mars Attacks.
I used to be extremely frightened of this movie as a child. It was this and Chucky. Those are my kryptonite. I saw any image on the screen with Mars Attacks or Chucky, going to my old Blockbuster to get a movie, and I would pass by the cover, the then VHS, and then turned into DVD cover of either movie, and it would just scare the shit out of me. I think it's because I've always grown up with like a fascination with aliens. Like when as soon as I could read, I would check out books on like, these are aliens. These are like, like basically the kid from Signs. That was me growing up. So watching clips looks like I had never seen this whole movie through either way. Or on top of that, I've only just seen like clips of this movie, and it freaked me out because it invokes a lot of the same imagery as some of those like books I was reading as a kid of like big bulbous heads, aliens coming down and flying saucers and ray guns and shit. So it just always frightened me, and I never stuck around long enough to see the comedy in it. I just saw these scary looking things, and I lost it.
To be fair, there's some pretty horrific images.
In it. I'm a little floored by this. I never in a million years would have seen this movie as something scary, but I'm trying to see it through your eyes, like with Clark's saying, and
there's some
this came out in '96.
I will say this: it pushed some PG-13 boundaries.
Oh yeah,
like because I was watching it again. Like, well, there's the random deaths that happen, and I know we're going to get into this more, but the scene where we haven't said the spoiler warning yet, but the scene where
we're not giving a spoiler warning.
Okay, yeah. So when they have Pierce Brosnan's body all broken up and blood is dripping from his body parts, and if you really are looking at like the chest,
the dismemberment of it,
dismemberment, like that's in horror movies.
Yeah,
that's a horror movie
fair.
scene.
I saw that yesterday, and I was like,
kids weren't soft back then, brother.
Yeah. All right. Now I can see it. It's just it's funny to me because like I have very different memories of this movie where it's just like, am I supposed to laugh at this? Like, is this funny? Like, okay? I think this is funny, like, but yeah. I was in an age where I was, I thought I kind of knew what to expect from Tim Burton, and this one went a little off the rails back then.
I think obviously this movie came out when I was 2, but when I probably first saw it was maybe like 90, 98, so 4 at that time. So
yeah, okay, all right.
My perception of comedy is not there.
I mean, it was fall '96. That means Dennis and I had just met each other.
Was it fall of '96? Okay.
Wait, you guys watch the movie together or no?
No, I watched this I watched this at home.
Okay, maybe not. Wait,
I definitely watched this at home. I think this is right before I met. Oh wait, no, it's
no.
No. Sorry,
wait.
No,
did we meet
Clark,
yeah,
Clark,
yeah.
This movie came out December 13th. I was home for
okay.
Christmas. It was. We were home. We were at home.
All right. That is right after finals.
I have the poster right in front of me, so I can see it's Friday, December 13th, but FRY is how they spelled it.
Yeah,
I just never had the chance to go back and watch this movie, or even like wanted to, or made the time to do it, and I figured, why not now? Why not talk about it on the show? Because I think what I learned, this is a comic book movie.
Well, it was based off of
it's inspired
set of cards.
Inspired.
Yeah. Okay.
That are kind of comic like, but because we grew up with Pokemon cards. That's what we think of when we say cards or magic cards. But back then they had baseball cards, and then they had these fantasy cards like these alien invasion, such. And so that was this was a short-lived run, and ironically, it was almost
Topps trading cards.
Topps trading
cards.
But
it was Mars Attacks was a property prior to the movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was probably something that like Tim Burton grew up with as a kid or something, and it evokes a very 1950s kind of paranoia of aliens and stuff like that. Yes. You got to remember, like, back then, like his generation, like Tim Burton's generation of kids, like, I mean, these people grew up like hearing stories about like War of the Worlds, like
like that
and stuff.
We joke about it, but like that's not too far removed from when that happened.
Exactly.
That broadcast happened.
Can you imagine like how terrifying that broadcast had to have been for everybody who didn't have TV or anything else to like they only had the radio to listen to, and then they hear this, and it's so aliens have always kind of like made people wigged out. Like, I think it's funny that nowadays, like, we have like government hearings on like whether or not like aliens exist, and like when people admit to it, yes, like people are just like, whatever, what else is on the news? That's crazy to me. It's crazy, but yeah, this was trying to evoke the feelings of a simpler time when this was like the thing that would terrify everybody because you just didn't know what to expect. And with that, I'm going to stop talking about Mars Attacks for right now, and we'll go back into it. I hope anybody who's listening, either on the day we release this or anytime after, if you really do like this kind of thing where we just sit around and talk about any of the fun old movies that one of us or all of us grew up watching, let us know in the comments. Please, hit the like button, subscribe, follow us on all the channels. You can follow me and on DenX Media everywhere, and Ricky and Clark, they have their own plug to plug. But yeah, before we get into that, you can plug yours, by the way.
Oh, Ricky the Nerd on Instagram. Follow me there. I don't really want to do X.
That's fine. Yeah, X is weird. X is weird now, right? And then Clark, do you want anybody following you anywhere?
Not yet.
Cool.
Plug and play.
Fine. Well then, I just wanted to get those plugs in there before we go and do other stuff. And we'll probably be doing more of these for a while now because, in all honesty, we are the mostly Marvel podcast, but we can only mostly talk about Marvel stuff when there is Marvel stuff to talk about. And they chose to blow 14 episodes in 2 weeks. And so what are we supposed to do now? We got other stuff.
Just wait.
Yeah. Now, with that said, I will switch gears to what have you guys been watching besides Mars Attacks?
Clark, we haven't heard from you in a minute. You can maybe back up some of my Godzilla love.
I finished Monarch, which I did like on Apple TV. As a Godzilla verse fan, and I am definitely looking forward to Godzilla Kong New Empire. So Monarch was good, as I said before. If for nothing more than seeing Kurt Russell and his son play the same character, which is a lot of fun. But I did like that they tied in the movies, the timing of what the movie was, and they made the people interesting.
Matter.
I mean, not it's still is tricky because you always want to see more monsters in the monsters, and I think they did hit the minimum of that. But I hope there's a season 2. So
yeah, no. In terms of a franchise, right? It's a great season. It's a great story, and it gets you excited for the next thing. I'm gonna go into Kong Godzilla 2 super hyped up, and that's something that I don't know if I would have said before this show.
I'm glad you guys like Monarch so much. I will eventually watch it. I was recently seeing there was an ad for 3 months of free.
You're just waiting to milk the shit out of Apple TV.
I do. When I go hard on Apple TV when there's enough for me to go on, because I don't think there's enough normally to sustain a subscription to that service.
Worth your $8 to watch. I just finished After Party season 2. Not as great as the first, but After Party is still fun. I watch Schmigadoon next.
Oh yeah, Schmigadoon's good.
I like things on Apple TV, but I don't love Apple TV enough to keep it. You know what I mean? Like Disney and Hulu, that bundle keeps me entertained all year round. You know what I mean? I can watch Welcome to Wrexham. I can watch
that bundle's going to get more expensive here soon.
I can watch Fargo. I just finished Fargo this week, the new season. Oh my god, it was excellent. I've been watching our good friend Dave has had access to Peacock for a while, and I occasionally dip over there to check it out. And I watched Ted this week, the TV show. Is it good? I've heard a lot of good things about it. You know what? I hated it for the first 20 minutes. And I was like, what is this? Is like, this feels weird. It feels wrong. That kid doesn't look like Mark Wahlberg at all. Like, these parents are, I don't know, everybody's from the Orville. Like, all his like cast members from the Orville are just on the show. And then at some point, like I realized, I like paused it and I was like, how long is this episode? And the episodes are like 40, 45 minutes long. So like that's why it felt like it was dragging. And the first episode, I'm spoiling a little bit. Eventually, they finally try pot for the first time together. And then the status quo is set because then it becomes Ted. Then it feels like the movie, you know, like how like they're just these two deadbeats who's just like screwing off all the time, doing stupid stuff. And then yeah, like once it becomes that, then it's a great show. Like then it's, if you like the movie, Ted is
I'm in the movie technically, so
yeah. If you like the movie, get through the first 20-30 minutes of the first episode and the rest of it is gold. And the cool thing is, like, you know, it's Seth MacFarlane and like he really does appreciate like the American sitcom, and so he tries to do like a new modern take on the sitcom, you know, like where there are meaningful stories, right? Like there's like there's stories of acceptance, of bullying, of like you know, like coming out as gay, and like all these different things, but with that Seth MacFarlane like silliness and humor. But like he rides a good line of emotion and ridiculous, and
he's funny. He knows how to be funny. Cool. Yeah. I mean, he's been doing it for a minute, but
I will say I like it better than the Orville because it knows what it's supposed to be and it stays in its lane. You know what I mean? Like, I think the Orville lost its way along at some point. Like, it started as this like comedic parody of Star Trek, and then it's like, why don't we just do Star Trek? And it's like, now it's just like I'm trying to get through the third season.
Orville over?
Yeah, I'm trying to get through the third season finally because once I finished Ted, I was like, oh, what else is there to watch? And so I've been watching the third season of Orville, and it's not great. It's not great, but it lacks all the funny, and it just makes me sad.
That was one of those one for you, one for me projects for sure.
Oh, that one is definitely for him. Yeah, like that is his love letter, and he got so deep in it that he just. Do you like the Orville, Clark? I'm just curious.
I haven't finished season 2. I know I finished season 1, and I'm somewhere in season 2. I don't remember where I stopped.
I like season 1. Season 1's funny. Season 2 got weird. Like season 1 has a guy get addicted to porn in their version of the holodeck, and that is super funny and super timely. I think yeah, it's pretty funny. But anyways, Ted's good for a laugh if you like Ted. If you like the humor of Ted. If you don't like Ted or Seth MacFarlane, do not watch that show. It's not I recommend. Anyways, that's what I got. I don't know. Fargo and Ted.
Fargo and Ted. Well, I think that's what we were watching.
Wait, what about Clark?
I thought Clark got to the.
I said Monarch, but other stuff. I mean. Let's see. What have I mean, I've been watching Reacher, which is a lot of fun.
I finished that right before we got here.
And
the Large White Man Show.
Yes. So
fun. My wife loves it now because she calls it that. Like she calls it
that is perfectly fine.
She's like, "Are you gonna watch the Large White Man Show?" And we watch it, and I'm like, "Oh, Lindsay," I'm like, "Oh, Reacher just kicked everyone's ass with his hands tied behind his back," and she's like. And she'll yell across the house, "Is it because he's a large white man?" And I'm like, "Yep."
Yep.
She just starts laughing because she loves it. It's so good. It makes her laugh. It's a great show. Alan Ritchson, really good.
Yeah, I really like him.
Large White Man Show that can go for Family Guy.
No, it doesn't.
The Connors.
It doesn't in the same way.
I mean, I finally started Modern Family, and I've been really enjoying that. So. There's a whole lot there.
I never watched Modern Family, huh?
Never watched it.
It's the same people who created Married with Children.
Yep. And and it's I've been really enjoying it, so I'm well into season 1.
They did like 12 seasons, right?
Now, I think it's one of the I think it's Peacock. It's one of the new streaming services that I just got last year that I can finally watch it on. So
I thought it's on Hulu.
Or is it Hulu? It might be Hulu.
ABC.
And it's
yeah.
Anyways, it has commercials, so it's one of the ones that I have that has commercials. Oh well.
It's just like you're watching the real thing.
I know. I can't afford all the non-commercial when they had such deals because like I got Disney and Hulu for $3 a month, but they're with commercials. But it's only $3 a month.
I feel you. RuPaul's Drag Race came back like a week or two ago, and I have to watch it on the MTV app. And oh my god, the commercials, they're so bad. They're so bad. And like there's what's really offensive is it's a bunch of commercials trying to sell me pills to deal with my varying degrees of diabetes. Like it's either to prevent me from getting diabetes, or if I've already got full-blown diabetes, this is the drug and I'm like, what are you trying to say to me, commercials? I feel so targeted right now. It's
the thing that bugs me about the commercials is when you're watching TV, old school TV, they knew when the commercial breaks were going to be. You could tell the music goes boom, and like it'll freeze, and like they had all the commercials set, and the story was actually designed to go to the commercial breaks. And some of the services, they don't respect that at all. They will randomly drop a commercial like right in the middle of a scene, and you're like, no, come back to me. And then it goes to a Kia commercial, and you're just like, what? And then it just jumps right back in.
You're lucky you're getting Kia commercials, man. I know way too much. I know way too much about Ozempic right now.
Yeah, I would say, tell me some Ozempic right now.
No, seriously. And then the weirdest thing I've got going on for that Ozempic is like their new commercial is like they sing the Ozempic. And I'm like, what the hell? Do you understand that there's an entire generation of people that are going to grow up thinking that's the song? And that weirds me out. Like that's marketing at its grossest. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've done ranting. Ricky, if you got news, let's do this. You don't need to say wait.
Do this.
What was that? What was that?
That was the news. Kind of kicking off last week's news. Daredevil Born Again, originally supposed to have 18 episodes.
Oh no.
May not have 18 episodes. So it's comes
I saw
from
that one coming.
Vincent D'Onofrio. If you don't know, that show was filming prior to the strike. It wasn't doing so hot according to the people who were working on it, and almost everyone working on that show got fired in a creative capacity. And post strike, they hired totally lost on who they hired. Okay, Dario Scardapane to be the new showrunner, and with the new changes that he brought in, that's how you kind of got the Netflix shows back into the MCU. Foggy's coming back. They're doing a lot more reworks of that show.
What about Karen? Is Karen
coming back?
I heard Karen's coming back.
Nice.
And I'll be honest. Make all the changes. Do it. Fix it.
Yeah, if you think it's good. I don't know. I don't want to say what they had was broken, but if they felt creatively that it wasn't working, fix it.
I have always said how much I love the court stuff as much as the action, which is why I love Daredevil, because I feel that his secret identity is also as interesting. But when I heard that the first 4 episodes don't even have him as Daredevil, are all court drama stuff, come on. Even I am like, that's.
You gotta have balance. You gotta have balance.
Yes.
You gotta have a little bit of. It's gotta go beat up somebody every now and then.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, that's cool. Like, I don't care if it's really 18 episodes. That's a lot. That's too many. Unless they run it for 18 separate weeks and then we got the rest of the year taken care of. That's great. Wait, this isn't even coming out this year, is it?
No, this is
not anymore.
Next year. at best. The only thing that might be coming out this year is Agatha.
And X-Men, right?
Yeah.
97.
In terms of live action, though.
Stop hating.
Well, no hating as we'll move right along.
I consider that good news.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is getting another season coming out next month. Any of you guys ever watch Moon Girl?
I watched like an episode of it, and I was like,
it's fun.
I was like, this one might not be for me.
It's definitely a kid's show, but I think there's some good stuff in there. You're gonna have some special guests in season 2. You got Arsenio Hall. You got Cobra Kai, Sholo, Mari Duena, Blue Beetle, Edward James Olmos, Parker Posey, David Tennant, Peter Weller. So if you like Moon Girl, you're gonna get more Moon Girl. So coming next month.
Nice. By the way, I did check. X-Men 97 is still scheduled to premiere in early 2024. That just means sometime before July, technically, right?
Yeah.
Really. Right? Like that's all it means. But it's still we got something to look forward to eventually.
Good.
What was you gonna say?
I was ready to move on.
Yeah, say it.
Oh, RDJ Robert Downey Jr. Kind of doing the rounds for Oppenheimer, the awards circuit, doing some press. He had mentioned that his role as Iron Man in the MCU is probably some of his best work, but given the genre, went unnoticed. And it's kind of a little interesting look back on his career.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I present you guys with the question: who else you think was in this category?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Just 2.
Robert Pattinson.
The Batman.
I think he was great. I think he was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo is amazing. Like think about like how bad you feel about like having to go back and watch the old Incredible Hulk, right? Because like you're like, oh, this is that one without Mark Ruffalo, right? Like he is the Hulk, dude. Like
I'll counter and say we haven't gotten enough of Mark Ruffalo yet to make a sound judgment. But
every time you got him, you loved him, right? Like you enjoy his presence. I think Mark Ruffalo embodies that character as much as RDJ is Iron Man. I think.
I also think there's snippets. There's like in Thor Ragnarok, the interaction between Thor and Loki, especially when they're in the elevator and when they're in the room.
Yeah,
I think Loki's it's brilliant. You know, and
Loki's a good one.
Loki's another one for sure.
Yeah, you know, there are absolutely great acting moments in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that
Josh
definitely
Brolin
got over.
Yeah,
Josh Brolin, Guardians of the Galaxy. You know,
I would say I think Anthony Mackie in Falcon and Winter Soldier there's some good slices in that show. Actually, rewatch some of the bits with him and what's the scene? Who's the older?
Honestly, Sebastian Stan in everything that he's in the entire MCU. He's super, super amazing. And my love of him in the MCU makes me go watch his other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So
he's really good. He has
the scene,
a wide body of work outside of
he does. The
Winter Soldier.
I mean, the scene in the Winter Soldier where he's got his arm clamped and he's just talking about how he's him is like, your mom's name is Cheryl. You used to put paper in your shoes to make yourself look taller. Yeah, that's great acting.
And then another one, honestly, like I mean, they gotta eat crow for this one, but like Ricky, weren't we talking about when we were listening to What If how much it hurts to hear Lake Bell be Black Widow? Like it doesn't hit right? Because ScarJo nailed that character, right? Like she really did. Like I loved watching her be Black Widow every single time she was Black Widow. Yeah. Ever since Iron Man 2, like ever since then. So yeah, I think I fully agree with Robert Downey Jr. that like it is some of his best work, and the critics have totally just like not given him the flowers he deserves because of the genre. And I think that's the whole reason like the awards shows have gotten out of favor with so many of the fans over the last 2 decades and stuff, is because of movies that people love to talk about all year long, and then they go and see the nominations and those movies are not the ones being nominated, to the point where like they've had to adapt and create like special categories for like, oh, critical box office success, you know, so that Barbie, like I just give Barbie an award for being a good movie. You don't have to make a special category to pretend that it would never normally qualify. Barbie's a really good movie, guys. That's just the facts. Like it is. And so it's just weird to me that the critics are just so they're so gatekeepy of what is allowed to be considered quality cinema versus not. You know what I mean? Barbie's a great movie.
Is a perfect phrase, you know, for that.
Barbie's a great movie.
I think it is like who nominates it? Like it is like SAG or the Academy. Like those are, you're voted on by your peers. Let's just say that.
But let's even take Scorsese, you know, who said his whole thing about how Marvel isn't really movies. But Scorsese himself had to finally get, you know, had all these movies, Casino, you know, his whole series of stuff, and then he finally gets it for Departed, which is a very good movie, but it's not one of his absolute, you know, best. Same thing for Leonardo DiCaprio. That, you know, they finally gave him an Oscar after years and years and years, and that's what the Academy does. They somehow have this pay your due or tally. Yeah, like, okay, now it's your turn. It's your turn now.
Also, I'll say this. I do the only counterpoint I would argue is, in like a Marvel movie is really is made by a committee, right? It's not necessarily one person's overall vision of what that movie is, just given the nature of what those films are and how they're created. Whereas like a Tarantino film or a Scorsese film is more focused on what they want to put on screen and what work they want to represent. Nothing is bad either way.
But art can be done by committee and art can be done by an individual. Art is art. You know what I mean? And it's subjective for sure, like how you want it to decide, you know, what qualifies as art or not. But at the end of the day, it's
the classics of today were the popular movies of 50 years ago.
Exactly. That's the thing. And so like here's my simple answer to this whole Robert Downey Jr. thing. Like, think about the entire MCU and what, like, the first 3 phases, and when it ends with I am Iron Man and he snaps, right? Do you remember that audience in that room when we all watched Robert Downey Jr.'s character say his goodbyes for forever, possibly?
Yeah, people would like shut up in the theater.
Right. But like, seriously though, like, people were moved in different ways, right? Maybe not the ways you want them to be moved, Ricky, like, but like, people were moved. And why? It's because of his performance over like the 10 years that he did that character. Like, he moved people. And honestly, as much as people want to hate on the MCU nowadays for whatever, you know, like whatever faults it has, like, that guy got away unscathed, right? Like, that character is like top tier superhero now, right? Which is to say a lot, right? We've said that a lot on the show, is that like Iron Man before that movie was not top tier, you know what I mean? And so, but now like everybody in the world loves Iron Man, and we're not even clamoring for a new Iron Man reboot. We're fine with it. We're like, we're going to be good with that being Iron Man for another 5-6 years, you know, before we start saying, okay, reboot the whole thing, give us a new Iron Man, you know, like, it's because his performance was so strong. And so I think he's right. That is some of his best work, because he moved an entire planet to rally behind this character. You know what I mean? So, Amen.
Well, art
Props to you.
subjective. Last bit of news. Take a look at this piece of art. A24, the studio behind the movie Iron Claw, is releasing a action figure based on Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich. Right. The only reason I bought it because it is toy news technically, and I couldn't find who's making the toy actually, so I'd be curious to know. But Dennis, will you be buying a Zac Efron action figure?
Well, one, no, I don't love Zac Efron the way you love Zac Efron.
He's pretty good in this movie. This may be his
Two-
Oscar.
Two, I haven't seen that movie, so I have no dog in that race, to say the yeah, no, I don't it doesn't mean anything to me right now, so it's cool.
I'm glad they do that before Everything Everywhere All at Once toys. I want a big bagel.
I
Bagel
feel like
playset.
that probably exists too. But yeah, no, I'm glad you're getting your toy. In unrelated toy, or like more related toy news rather, that Wolverine and Joe Fixit 2-pack went up to pre-order today, or I guess yesterday, depending on how we're broadcasting this. Highly recommend anybody who is fans of those iconic comic covers. It's very cool. But I'm happy for you, Ricky. I'm happy that you're going to have a Zac Efron, Kevin Von Erich toy. Good for you.
My Disney Channel reunion that will be completed.
I don't know what that means.
Well,
I don't know what that means either.
Should we get started?
Yes, do it. Do it.
It's here. It's now. It is time to talk about Tim Burton's Mars Attacks. I feel like I feel like I can't do the voice because it just sounds inherently bad and maybe slightly.
I'm fine.
I'm not going to dive into why you think it sounds racist, so we're not going to go there.
Well, originally they had dialogue. And
what?
There you go. This is why Clark's here, guys.
They originally had dialogue, and they decided the movie was too long, and so they re-edited it. And then they had subtitles, but then they came up with the idea of the translation device, and they thought that was clever because they didn't really need to show the nuances of the Martians. That kind of was more terrifying when you didn't know their nuance. So, and I do not have a copy of.
You're telling me there's a cut, dialogue cut?
If there is, it's on the cutting room floor.
No,
I've
not seen the dialogue cut.
I mean, where do we begin?
Why don't you give me your summary of what the plot of this movie is? I want to hear your summary first.
Aliens descend from Mars to Earth in a bid to conquer our world. And in their quest, we are presented with vignettes of different facets of American society on how they deal with this extraterrestrial threat.
Can I give mine?
Sure.
I think this movie is a living cartoon of what happens when a superior species decides to go and screw with an inferior species just for the hell of it. I'm not even certain that their purpose was to conquer Earth. They just really felt like screwing with us at every single turn. And it is absolutely a Bugs Bunny cartoon come to life. Like
100%.
That is what this movie is. And if you're not on board with that, like I wasn't when I was 18, or when this movie came out. Like I didn't understand that I was gonna.
I kind of like this movie a lot.
Dude, I kind of loved this movie when I watched it yesterday. I absolutely love this movie, and it's so fun to see how much your mind can change as you get older, and as as you have time to experience things and see things through different lenses. This movie is a joy to watch because of its absurdist humor. It is completely bonkers.
Like, Clark, what's your Clark's thoughts real quick?
This movie is a little boy burning ants with a magnifying glass.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great.
And it is absolutely Tim Burton when he was at the point where the studio said, here's your money, go make your movie. And all these stars wanted to flock with him. They all wanted to work with him at that point. That's how you get Jack Nicholson and Annette Bening and stuff. They're like, yes, I want to work with Tim Burton, because they want to do something different. Did you know this was just his ideas, just going, you know what, that'd be funny.
Fun fact, Jack Nicholson accepted the role without ever reading a script.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it.
He just wanted to do another movie with Tim Burton.
Yeah, and he joked about, I'll play all the roles. And they're like, no, but we'll give you 2 of them.
Like, I know, it's so funny.
I think it works so well because it's played fairly straight for like the first 20 minutes, maybe up until they land in Nevada. It's like semi-serious, but then they dial it up. Like they onboard you really well to the absurdity of like what's going on.
Yeah.
Where it's never over the top, I feel.
Well, okay.
It's just incremental in a sense that you just kind of accept it, but you understand, like you get to the point where like, oh, this is pretty funny.
You just said it's never over the top for a movie that begins with a herd of cattle on fire running by a house.
The scariest thing to me as a child.
Now,
it was kind of traumatizing to see it yesterday when I watched that. I was like, wow. That's
and them making barbecue jokes. Where it smells like barbecue.
But in fairness, I bet it did smell really good.
Yeah, probably smelled really good.
The scriptwriter, they kept asking him to take that scene out. They didn't want it. And he kept leaving it in. And then they fired him. And they got 2 more people to come in. Didn't really work creatively with Tim. Went back. They ended up hiring the first scriptwriter again. And that's why we have the cattle. He was adamant. That's how he wanted to start the movie.
I think it sets a good tone because there's like jokes, but there's also horror.
Yes.
And it is a dark comedy, right? Like
yes.
It is that in that it's very it plays to the humor, but it plays to the horror of everything happening in this weird way. Like, so yeah, you see a lot of traumatic things. You see, like Ricky, we were talking about earlier, the dismemberment of Pierce Brosnan. You see all his body parts like hanging on hooks and dripping blood and stuff. And it's really weird because like at the same time, it's like he's having like this romantic scene with like Sarah Jessica Parker, who's got her head sewed onto a chihuahua. And like, it's so bananas. Like, but like every single thing about this movie was deliberately decided by, Tim Burton and his crew of people. And everything that made it into the movie it contributes to the ridiculousness of it. So so that cattle running across the road completely on fire, probably because these aliens decided to just screw with some cows. It sets the tone.
And that's what I said. It's exactly what you said. It was them messing with us, and they were and I have to totally agree with you. I like this better watching it yesterday than I did. I liked it better than I remember watching it the first time I watched it.
Well, it was so good.
To Dennis's point, like it is different vignettes. Like none of the stories really like intersect in a way. But they're very efficient with when each thing's on screen. You get a lot of information thrown at you.
I mean, everybody gets their story arcs. They're just dumb.
Yeah, they're very fleshed. But they're fleshed out and they're complete.
That is how they cut the budget, because they were going to go to a lot more different countries, and mess with them, but they had to. They're like, okay, we got to get this closer to 70 million.
So they just got the picture of them in front of the Taj Mahal, and that's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and like that.
They go to Paris.
I do want to show off since Dennis asked me, it's like, oh, Clark, can you find that movie? I have to show the Tim Burton collection. So thank you to Physical Media, which has Mars Attacks in this set.
Wow, where's that collection end?
Of Batman, Batman Returns, Beetlejuice, Mars Attacks, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and The Corpse Bride.
Right,
but
it's a good collection. I will say that Mars Attacks is the least, it's the most colorful of all of those movies. Like, and that is the funniest thing about Mars Attacks is like it doesn't read visually like a Tim Burton movie, right? Because Tim Burton uses a lot of black in his movies, like a lot of dark shadows, a lot of like moodiness, and in this movie, it's just bright. Even when the cows are running on fire, it's very bright. Like you can clearly see the cows, and they're completely aflame, and everything about the designs of all the sets, all the aliens, all of the wardrobe. It's very bright and in your face, and it's like, where did this Tim Burton
and
come
how
from?
the skeletons either go red or green to simulate Christmas,
just like they were in Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
the red skeletons. But yes, apparently they chose to make them red and green because it was originally going to be a Christmas release movie, and I guess they thought that was festive to have the skeletons turn red and green when people get disintegrated. Yeah,
like I feel like they don't make movies like this anymore.
Well, it has a lot of aspects of a horror movie, where it's just kind of like where most of the cast is dead by the end of the movie.
Honestly, what it reminded me of while I was watching it, and I know this is a deep cut for Ricky, but it kind of made me feel like it was a more contemporary Doctor Strangelove.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you've seen.
I mean, it's a lot of the same like imagery, especially as you get into it. Like they're in the room, right? The Situation Room, and
it's a lot of the shadow government running the world and making really poor, haphazard decisions on behalf of its people, and things just going way out of control the whole time.
Okay. Did you not notice this time how many times people were fooled with, "Oh, we come in peace," and then they die, and even when they got to the Prime Minister of France, Francois, get out of there, and I mean, yeah, it's so funny,
Like in hindsight, this movie honestly reminded me a lot more of Dick Tracy, like just in terms of going all the way with it, right, with the theme and the.
Yeah, I can see it.
I can see that. Yeah,
because the movie was supposed to take place like in the 90s, right? But the uniforms and equipment from the military was all very 50s. It was 50s, yeah. So it was kind of weird, like how they were trying to evoke an aesthetic from a different time. Which is like the aliens, especially with the flying saucers and stuff.
The alien technology that looks like techno toys,
like ray guns and stuff like that. Yeah, and
I will go ahead.
Oh, I was saying how I love how the two kids, Pam Greer's kids, end up saving so many people because they they skip school to go shoot ray guns in video games.
Were there any cameos that you forgot that you were surprised to see when you rewatched it?
I forgot Michael J. Fox was in this movie, and that it made me happy and sad at the same time. Because every time he ever gave us his performance in a movie, it was a treat. And his performance is so short in this movie, you know what I mean? But not as short as Jack Black, which I did not know. That I didn't know. And the only one that has a shorter, more surprisingly less
Danny
spectacular.
DeVito?
No, Christina Applegate.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Christina Applegate has almost no lines in this movie, and she just like shows up and kisses Jack Black goodbye when he goes off to fight Martians, and then the next time you see her, she's cheating on him, or I guess he's dead already. She's banging a different guy and gets perved out on by a bunch of aliens outside the window before they obliterate her. And I was like, that's Christina Applegate's role in this movie? Like, that blew me away.
It was really interesting to see, people at sort of the beginning of their careers or stuff versus, I mean, Christina Applegate had a TV career, but she didn't have
people at
movies
their prime in that movie too.
Yeah, versus people at their prime,
yeah,
the huge stars.
Annette Bening,
Annette Bening,
Glenn Close,
Martin
Jack
Short,
Nicholson. Yeah.
Natalie Portman was pretty famous at that point, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
She'd only done her big movie, but
Leon, the professional.
Yeah, she wasn't super famous, but famous enough. Famous enough. Yeah.
I mean, I think that was pre a Star Wars announcement.
I think she had done Beautiful Girls also. Beautiful Girls, which is a good movie too.
But I do want to say that one part that made me laugh the same as I remember really laughing in the theater, just as you said, was when the two boys join in with the Secret Service, and then when they go, "Get the president out of here," and are totally taken over. Oh, that made me laugh.
I was kind of weirded out, like, not that I'm really questioning the continuity of choices of this movie, just because like it's absurd. You're not really supposed to like question a lot about it. It gets a free pass for most things, but I was weirded out that they were saving the president with ray guns in that scene, and then the next time you see those kids, they're back at home. Like, I was like, wait, wouldn't the president keep these kids around? But I was like, it's fine.
I have a question for you, Dennis, because I remember when they were filming the movie, they made a big deal out of imploding that hotel in Vegas.
That was a real building, right?
Yeah, that was a real bit. Yeah,
okay. Was it? I don't remember.
It looked pretty real.
Okay, I don't know. I remember that. Yeah, they made a big announcement how they allowed. They were letting it's going to be Tim Burton's new movie, and they allowed him to film it from all the angles. So like that was the actual implosion of that hotel. And as a Vegas resident, I was wondering if you remembered, like, if that was big news around the city. But I just remember that
the casino was the Landmark, once owned by Howard Hughes. The location is now an expansion of the parking lot for the Las Vegas Convention Center. So there you go. That's what ended up in place of that thing. I found it. I have the trivia bits all up in front of me right now. So
100%. That makes so much sense right now, because like when they're showing the wide shots of the when it blew up, I'm like, A, this looks really good, and B, why is there a big L on top?
Yeah, there you go. It was the Landmark. I don't even remember that casino.
Okay.
It's like I mean, for anyone listening, I grew up in that city, and I've seen a lot of hotels demolished. So it's kind of hard to remember. I think I would remember if like certain ones, like if they ever demolished the Stratosphere, that would be a fun one to watch go down for sure. But yeah, no, it's that's a nice little tidbit that I didn't remember. So that's pretty cool. That's funny. But yeah, it's definitely, I guess, Clark, what else is there about this movie that you wanted to get out there? Because I know I kind of stole the cameo question by Ricky.
Originally they were thinking of doing another Tops line, which was Dinosaurs Attack, but he didn't want to be as close to Jurassic Park, so that's why they went with Mars. I thought that was interesting.
Gotcha.
You know, again, this is just one of those quirky ones where they let Tim Burton go crazy. And I remember at the time people saying, all right, maybe we let him go too crazy. But I mean, clearly he still has been very, very successful.
I really wish we get something like this in the future. Like, I think there's a joy to have, like, the closest thing that in recent time that I can remember is like what is that movie? The movie 42, which is just a bunch of the super A-listers is being put in
being silly,
being dumb. But I think it's kind of like it's
this kind of movie needs to happen every generation for sure.
Yeah, you need one. You need everybody to agree and just have fun. Like it's a fun movie.
Honestly, like even as absurd as it is, don't you kind of believe that if aliens were gonna try and get into the White House, that they might actually like study Playboy magazines and create a prostitute bot to seduce somebody who works inside the White House just to get in? Like everything, all that logic tracked as far as cartoon logic went. Like, and the fact that Martin Short was down
up too, right? Like,
they
plant the seed. You know, Martin Short's a shitty person. Like,
I mean, don't judge him. I mean, he just does.
No, but I mean, they set up his character,
they
right?
Call this the like, Kennedy room.
I know, right?
Everything in this movie is super efficient.
But I love that that's the character that he's down to play in that movie, and every single like that alien girl thing, even the internal logic going on is so solid, right? Like the eyes never blink. The gum is constantly being chewed.
Yeah.
And you just know you don't even need that scene when the scientists do the autopsy and figure out that the gum is nitrogen. I'm like, yeah, I kind of figured it out just by watching this. You know, like it's all really easy to read and easy to digest. And so the only thing that you have to think about is why is everything happening the way it is? And it's because, and you don't ever get the answer to that. That's the best part.
Oh,
you know,
something we haven't mentioned that I need to shout out is another cracker score from Danny Elfman.
Yeah,
that music was just fun.
A lot of Thurman.
It's a pretty good one.
That march, it just fit. It just fit. I remember.
Supposedly Johnny Depp turned down the role that Michael J. Fox played, by the way. I have a hard time believing that, but it is a short role, or a short performance. So who knows? I will say the movie also exceeds at being escapist in that it tries to make you believe that Sarah Jessica Parker is somehow beautiful. That was really awesome as well.
And clearly the dog lover. Oh, Chihuahua lover.
I couldn't let this show go without me getting it one dig in there, even if it gets me in trouble. I don't like Sarah Jessica Parker. I never liked her. And I think this movie caught her at a time when she was really big. And so, you know, she was a get, but I didn't really, she was for me the hardest part to enjoy.
Is this pre-Sex and the City? Or
no, I think it was during. I think it's during Sex and the City. Yeah, I think it was at a time when she was pretty high up there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make it all gross and but you know, but I don't go out of my way to watch her movies, so I appreciate that Ricky snuck one in there for me.
I'm happy to, like, I think the consensus here as we wrap up, like it was a good revisit. You know, we've been through some pains on these types of things.
I highly recommend it, and I think anybody who's always questioned how your government would react to aliens invading, I think when I was a kid, I thought they would never do that. As you know, as an adult now, I'm like, yeah, they probably do all of that. They'd probably do it all.
This is a good invite your friends over and watch a movie.
Yeah, and get drunk, watch this movie. It's super funny. I highly recommend. But Ricky, I think we're gonna keep whatever movie we watch next week a secret because that gives us an extra day since we're pre-recording this to pick one. And
plan it out.
And everybody just got to tune in next time. So I just want to say thanks to everybody who listened. Thanks to Clark for watching this movie at short notice. And Ricky, take us away.
With that, true believers, enough said.